and welcome to Create Crochet with me, Rebecca. And in today's video we're going to make this beautiful pillow cover. I'll teach you how to do this stitch, really easy even for beginners, and then also how to back it. Okay, so let's get on and create. So this is a 14 by 14 inch pillow inside of this. So to make a cover for this, you do go slightly smaller in your actual crochet than the pillow. I used a whole ball of Bernat Premium Yarnspirations, and this is a 360 yard or 329 meter ball of yarn. So that's what I used for this one. Okay, but we're going to go slightly smaller just so I can show you what to do. So, pro tip. This ball of yarn here requires a 6mm hook. For anything like a pillowcase, go a whole hook size down. So this is a 5mm hook. That means that when you do your crochet, the weave is nice and tight. It's not going to become baggy. You're not going to be able to see the pillow fabric underneath. It's going to keep its shape as well. It's not going to go all baggy and loose, and that's a pro tip for you. So let's just zoom in so we can see what we're doing. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to crochet a chain of 3 multiples. So for those beginners out there, to start your chain, you're going to wrap the yarn, holding the small end in these fingers here, wrap the yarn round and make a loop. Now I'm holding it at the cross section here. With the long piece, you're going to take it through your loop and just catch it in your hook like so, pulling on the small end to make the knot tighter and pulling on the long end to make the loop smaller like so. Don't make it too small because you are actually going to need your hook to come through the loop. So as I said, you're going to crochet a chain in multiple of 3s to the size of the pillow or cushion that you're going to be covering. So yarn over, and as I come through, I'm just going to twist the hook to be able to come through that loop there. So that's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now when you've got the length big enough, remember this is going to stretch, so you are going to go smaller than your pillow cover. So for example, if this was my pillow cover, that would be about right, because by stretching it, which your work is going to do, it is going to be the same size as that bottom edge of the pillow or cushion that you're covering. So when you've done that, you're going to do an extra 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's your beginning chain made. Let me just move that over there, that's annoying me. So that's your chain made. So now what we're going to go and do is single crochet all the way back through our chain into the second chain from the hook. So this is the first one here. This is the first one, and so this is the second one, and you're looking at these top loops. So here's a top loop, and here's a top loop, and we're going to go into that bad boy there. Okay, so in here we're going to put our hook in. So we've got 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over and just come through the chain, and we've still got 2 loops on our hook here. Yarn over, and we're going to come through 1, 2 loops to make our first single crochet. So again, that's hook in, yarn over, come through, yarn over and come through 2 for our second single crochet. In, over, through. Now, because the yarn asks for a 6mm hook and I'm going a whole hook size down, my work is going to twist, it is going to want to try and fold in on itself, it's going to do all manner of twisty bob things. That's fine because you're crocheting with a really tight tension. Okay, so this is our first set up row. So in there, and then we come to the last one, which is this one here, and we're going to go in there. Now to start every row, sorry that yarn is driving me nuts, to start every single row you chain one. No matter what the row is, no matter where you are in your project, you come to the end of your row, you chain one and you turn your work. Okay, so now instead of working into chain loops, we're going to be working back through the work that we've just done. And can you see these little kisses here? Can you see them? They're the top of your single crochet, and you've got a front loop and a back loop, and we're going to be going through both loops. That's really important to make sure that you go through both loops, because if you don't, you're going to be creating a pattern all of your own, which is fine, but you need to be consistent. So the first one that we're going to go to is, can you see where this chain is standing up here and it's pulling on this first kiss here, the first of this top single crochet here? That's where we're going to go back in. This will give you some really great straight edges down the side. So in we go, and we're just going to exactly the same as before, single crochet all the way across, and I'm going in both of those loops. Although there are two loops here, we only class that as actually one loop there. Sorry, just going to take out some more yarn. Yeah, that's knotted. I'll deal with that in a second. So yarn over, come through and pull through. Can you hear the yarn squeaking on the hook? That's fine, we can deal with that. So into both of those loops there, yarn over and come through. Easy as pie. So this is our second set up row. And I'll explain what that all means when we get to the end of this row. Okay, and then that's the last stitch that we need to go into. So that's the last stitch. Remember what we do to start every single row: chain one and turn. Now, do you see what I mean about my work wants to curl in on itself and go a bit bonkers? Well, there we go. So that's our set up row. So now we've done the 2 rows of set up, we can now go ahead and start creating these ridges down here. Okay, so again we're going to look at our work, and it's pulling on this first stitch here, the first single crochet. So we're going to do 1 and 2 single crochets. Now what you're going to have to do is really look at your work if you're a beginner. So this stitch here, we need to do a front post double crochet. Okay, sounds a lot harder than what it is. So this stitch, we're going to come all the way down to that first row of single crochets that we did, that first setup row. We're going to go yarn over our hook, follow this down, and then kind of spread your work out a little bit, and you'll see this bar here. So yarn over, put your hook through, all the way through, yarn over and come through your work. Now, another pro tip. When doing this front post double crochet, pull your work up to the top. Otherwise your work will kind of like collapse in on itself. It's no big deal, it's absolutely fine. It's just easier when we do the next row if your front post double crochets are sitting up here. May feel like you're pulling on it, it's golden, don't worry about it. So to finish this stitch, we're going to go yarn over. We've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to come through 1, 2, yarn over, come through 1 and 2. Now if you look at the back of your work, you're going to see this empty stitch here. You're going to skip it because theoretically you have used this stitch just down here doing your front post double crochet. So when you pull your work forward, ignore that one and do a single crochet into this next one here. Okay, so not this one, but this one. Hook in, and again we're going to do 1, 2 single crochets, and that's the pattern. 2 single crochets and then a front post double crochet. So now we've done our 2, we need to yarn over, come down to the bottom of this here, put our hook right in our work, yarn over and come through. So when you come through, you want to lift your hook up to the top of your previous row's crochet. Yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2 to complete your double crochet. Just look at the back of your work. You're going to not do this one because theoretically we've already used it, and we're going to go into this one and just do 2 single crochets in a row. So that's 1, 2, front post double crochet, coming down your work, hook all the way through, yarn over and come through, pull your work up, yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2, look at the back, skip this one, crochet 2, single crochet 2, I beg your pardon. So when you get to the end of your row and you've done your last front post double crochet, there should only be 2 stitches left to do your 2 single crochet. So that's 1 and 2, finishes your front post double crochet row. Now what do we do to start every single row? We chain 1 and we turn, and that's what your work looks like from the back. So now we need to do the setup rows again, because by doing the front post double crochet you're coming down 2 rows, so you need to create those 2 rows. So chain 1 and off we go with our single crochets straight into this first one here. So this is row 1 of the setup. And this is where, if you haven't pulled your work up when you were doing that front post double crochet, you'll really notice a difference in the texture and the line of work and everything like that. So this is the last one. Chain 1 and turn. So that's your first setup row. You're going to need to do 2 setup rows every single time you do your double crochet, followed by your 2 setup rows, which are just single crochets all the way along. You do get into a bit of a rhythm of it. And then the last one in there, chain 1 and turn. And now you can see we're at the back of our work, but we want to do continual lines all the way up. So if we've just done a front post double crochet, we're now going to do a back post double crochet. Exactly the same, just different places where you put your hook. So let's go ahead and do our 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, and then if we look at the front of our work, don't be tempted to turn like that. Trust me, it just won't work. So when you look at the front of your work, pull it towards you like this, and this is where we have to go into. So yarn over, look at the front of your work, you're going to come into that front post double crochet. Make sure you're not catching up any of the single crochets underneath, just that front post double crochet. Okay, not gonna lie, it's a bit fiddly when you first do it. It does get easier. So yarn over and come through that post. Pull up your work. Okay, yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2. Exactly the same before. We've used this stitch but just further down. So we're going to go into this one and do our 1, into the next one, 2 single crochet. Okay, so let's do that again. We'll do it step by step because it is a bit fiddly and you do feel like at times you need 3 pairs of hands. It's all good. Yarn over to start the stitch. Now I move my bit of yarn out of the way so I can really see where I'm going. So we're going into this post here. So hook through. This is where you can take your tension back up again. Yarn over and come through just the post, like so. Pull it up so it matches the same height as the rest of your work. Yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2. Not going to work in this one because theoretically we've already done it. So we're going to go 1 and then into the next one for 2 single crochet. Yarn over, move that out the way, through the post, yarn over and come through, pull my work up to the same height as everything else, yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2, not into this one, and 2 single crochet. Excellent. One, 2, chain 1 and turn, and hey presto, you've got posts. So you're going to carry on with these lines. So we've chained 1 row of single crochets. Let's just get them whacked on through. For your first line of setup, and we'll do it all again once we've done the 2 rows of single crochet setups. Chain 1, turn, off we go again. So the first time we did a front post double crochet, the second time we did a back post double crochet, and you're going to alternate between the 2. That's how you know you're kind of on the right track. Chain 1, turn. So we're back doing a front post double crochet. 2 singles, 1, 2. Exactly the same principle. Yarn over, hook into that post, there, yarn over, come up with your loops, yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2. Now if you look at the back of the work, this stitch has got something in it. So actually, sorry, this stitch has got something in it. We don't need to use this one because we've just used it. So we're going to go ahead and put our first single crochet into that one. So that's 1 and 2. Once you've done this quite a few rows, you'll be able to see where you need to put your hook. You won't need to always look at where those kisses are and where you need to skip. Trust me. Yarn over into the post, yarn over, and then bring it all up, take off 2, take off 2. You're going to skip the one behind, and then you're going to go 1, 2. Last one for me. And then into those last 2 stitches to finish the row. And that's it. So that is how you do the front part of your pillow or cushion cover. When you get to the end of your work, so you're like, oh yeah, that's the right size, make sure it is slightly, maybe 2 rows smaller than your actual pillow. This will keep your pillow nice and plump, stop it from going flat. You do want to finish on the 3rd row, so either a front post or a back post double crochet, so that when you look at this, the lines come all the way down. There's no 2 rows of single crochet here. Okay, once you've done all that, you're happy, you're satisfied, you're going to chain 1 and then cut off your yarn long enough that you can weave in the ends, and we'll go through that in a second. So you've come to the end of your work and you're going to do a nice long piece to weave in. Where you're comfortable, snip off that section there. Done. Pull your hook through, tighten that knot, and by just doing that chain 1, it will secure everything else, trust me. Now, the jury is still out whether people prefer plastic or metal. Personally, I prefer metal. I find the end a little bit sharper to get through any knots. And also, I was gifted these. I try not to do plastic as much as I possibly can. So, it's entirely up to you, is what I'm saying. Thread whatever needle of choice yours is. This is where I need my glasses. And just take it on like so. Now, power of 3, my friends, power of 3. You're going to weave the yarn down, making sure that you can't see your needle really through the front or the back, and pull it through. Now when you pull it through, don't give it a big pull, otherwise you're going to get this weird non-corner piece to your work. Pull it back through so you get a nice corner here. Go back through. This is your second through. Doesn't want to go through that easily. So that's your second one. And by this point, that will be getting nice and tight. And then this is your third pass through. Excuse me. Again, not pulling it massively tight to retain the corner you've worked so hard to achieve. Cut off down at the bottom of your work without cutting into it. Done. End weaved in. And that's the front part of your pillow cushion cover completed. Now for the back. Exactly the same. You're going to use the smaller hook. You're not going to trade out for the bigger hook. And we're going to start with that starting chain. Now we've been practicing our double crochets on the front. We've nailed it. loop and come through. Give it a tug, give it a tug. So getting the front part of your work, obviously yours might be a little bit bigger than this. You're going to count the kisses at the top. Now whatever that count is, that's how many you're going to chain. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's how many I need to chain to make sure my front is exactly the same as my back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that I know is going to be the same as that. Absolutely perfect. See, look, it's knotted again. Dum-diddy-dum, talk amongst yourselves. Right, sorted. So you've done the same amount as this one, the front. You're going to do an extra 2. 1, 2. You're going to do your first crochet in the 3rd chain from your hook, which is the 14th chain I created. So when you do this, those extra 2 chains become the same height as a double crochet. So yarn over, hook into that top loop, yarn over, come through, take off 2, take off 2. See? Now some crocheters think that the double crochet is the same height as 3 chains, and some of us think it's a 2 chain. Up to you, play around with it. I would recommend 2 just to keep your work nice and tight. So we're going to do double crochets from here on out, nothing changes. Yarn over and in. Into the next one, and this is all you're going to do for the back. All the way along. Yarn over into the next chain, take off 2, take off 2, yarn over into the next chain, and off we go. Again, your work may want to curl. Remember that you're using a whole hook size different to what is recommended, just to get that really tight weave on your pillow or cushion cover. Yarn over, come through 2, come through 2, take out more yarn. It will not, it's all good. Into the last one, and there. Now, you know on the front how we did chain 1 to start the next row? Well, this time we're going to do exactly the same as the beginning, and we're going to do a chain 2 and turn. Exactly the same as the single crochet. You're going to go into this first loop here, which is the top of the last double crochet that you made, and all the way along. So what you're going to do with this is you want to do it just over 2/3 of the size of your pillow. So this is the first one that you're going to make. You're going to make 2 of these, so that when you do the back, you do the first one over 2/3, and the next one you're going to do of 2/3, so that when you put your pillow in, the back overlaps and you can't see your pillow insert. And that's all there is to the back. So that's coming along. Now when you get to the end here, let's have a look at this. So if you have a look, you've definitely got one kiss or the top of that double crochet to go. You are not going to go into this whole heap of mess here, because that's your chain, and you did that at the beginning of the row, so there's no need to do it. Go into the chain from the previous row. So yarn over into the last stitch there, chain 2 and turn over your work, and you're just going to keep doing the first one until it measures over 2/3 of your pillow insert. So you do that, I'll do mine, and I'll see you in a second. So pretending this is huge and it's the same size as just over 2/3 of my pillow, I'm coming to the last stitch. There we go, in there, and that's my last double crochet. I'm going to chain 1 to secure everything. I'm going to cut that off long enough where I can weave in the end, pull my hook through and weave in the end. Looking fabulous. So that's the front, pretending it's the right size. This is over 2/3 of the back of the pillow, so now we need to make the smaller one exactly the same as what you've just done. Okay, get that out of the way so it's not interrupting your vision. We're going to chain the same amount, so for me it was 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, plus the extra 2 to make the same height as the first double crochet, which is going into the 3rd chain from our hook. And off we go again. So this is over 2/3 the size of your overall insert. So this piece that I'm about to do on my hook, I need it to overlap by at least 4 rows. Okay, so that's a row, and that's a row, that's a row, and that's a row. Okay, so you're looking at these posts here. If you can pull through a post, it's a line. Okay, so there we go. So when you make your next piece, make sure that it overlaps this piece by at least 4 rows. Okay, in a minute I will show you how to sew the two together. Coming to my last stitch here that I'm going to do. Now normally I would chain 1, cut off a length to weave in the end. Don't do that on this one. Trust me, don't do it. What you're going to do is you're going to get a cheeky little stitch marker and you're just going to put it into that loop there. Now you can use one as fancy as this one, or just use another piece of yarn and put it in there. Anything to stop that stitch pulling through. Trust me, do not do that cut off bit yet. So what you're going to do is you're going to put everything together. Okay, you're going to put right sides together like that, and with a completely contrasting piece of yarn you're gonna kind of stitch it together but not make much of an effort. Okay, so let me just go and get my contrasting bit of yarn and I'll show you what I mean. So you've put everything together, the edges are together, that inside bit is overlapping by quite a lot, those 4 rows. And then what I mean by dummy sewing it together is just whack stitches in. Don't worry about the neatness, this yarn is not staying there. Now the reason for doing this is we have used a whole hook size smaller. The crochet that we have done is tight and it's also smaller, just a little bit smaller than our actual insert. Okay, so when you've gone all the way around the outside of your crochet, turn it the right way through and you will see that this is at the front and this is at the back. Of course you will have turned it by this. Put your pillow or cushion insert in. If it gapes like that, you're going to need to do extra rows. So this is why we've put the stitch marker in here and we've tested it to make sure that our pillow insert doesn't make the whole thing gape. So now you can just come along and you can remove the contrasting colour stitches really easy, and you can carry on crocheting more rows on the one that you're currently doing. Pro tip number 3. Full of them today. So that is how you make the pillow with making the insert disappear. I hope you've enjoyed watching. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them at the bottom. I try and get back to everybody, and I'll see you for the next video. Thank you. Bye.